Okay, I realize it's actually really difficult to film at a conference because it's a lot of talking, a lot of going to a talk, and a bunch of posters. Let's sit down and talk about how this works.
Hi everyone! I recently presented a poster at a conference in the medical/healthcare space, and I wanted to share a little bit about what it's like. The whole conference learning experience, the poster presentation aspect, and the fun stuff that you get to do at conferences. I remember not really knowing what to expect when I attended my first conference as a student, and I definitely wasn't even aware of these smaller conference opportunities when I started. So hopefully this piques your interest in exploring whether you would like to attend something like this. First, let's talk about the conference experience itself. I went to the Rise for Equity conference, which was focused on health equity and workforce organizational culture in the lens of equity and inclusion. And relatively speaking, this was smaller than, say, like ACC in cardiology or ASHP mid-year for pharmacy. The first thing you do when you arrive is you go to the registration desk and you sign in, pick up your name tag, and your packet of materials that has the schedule. For educational offerings, there are big lecture-style talks, there are panel discussions on specific topics, and these can be live or virtual. So even if you are signed up for the live cohort, you can totally open up the Zoom link and follow along while you're getting ready, for example, in the morning. Additionally, there are smaller breakout sessions, which are definitely live, and these can be still talks or Q&As, or they can be more hands-on and interactive workshops. At the conference, there are also exhibits. These are basically advertisers and vendors that are selling something that is related to the conference topic itself, and having them really helps fund the conference. And then there are networking opportunities like breakfast, lunch, dinners, receptions. At bigger conferences, there would be simultaneously multiple receptions going on, hosted by different hospitals, schools, organizations. But here, it was more one big gathering for whoever wants to come. And then lastly, there are poster presentations. Posters are still a written piece, but it's less intense and it's not peer-reviewed like a manuscript. And it's meant to be accompanied by a person standing next to the poster and giving some level of oral presentation about it. To present a poster at a conference, you basically write an abstract, aka a summary of the research or project that you worked on, and you send it to the conference for their call for abstracts before their deadline. And the course faculty will review all the abstracts that they receive to decide, yep, this one's interesting, this one is not scientifically rigorous, this one doesn't fit our topic. Kind of go through a scoring rubric to decide who to invite to then make a poster and talk more about it at the conference. I just picked up my poster. It only took a few days to print, and very luckily this is paid for by work, which is A+. I made my poster on PowerPoint and I got it printed at our local hospital print shop. When I got to the conference, the first thing I did after registration was to set up my poster on the board. There are designated poster viewing times at the conference, and I didn't film any of it because it's kind of awkward to film myself talking to strangers. Basically, you stand by your poster and people will walk up to you and they will read or skim the content of your poster and kind of decide, is this interesting? Do I want to learn more about this project? If they feel like it, they will have questions and chat a little bit more. From my end, I usually give them a few seconds. I say, hello, how's it going? And just give a friendly, open vibe so that they don't feel intimidated to ask if they have any questions. And a lot of times we end up introducing ourselves and having a conversation. During these poster viewing times, I also kind of wander around in my area, close to my poster, of course, and I end up talking to the board mates that are in the area and learning about their projects. Comparing this conference to a previous poster presentation experience, I actually had much fewer conversations about my project at the previous conference, which was bigger and had more attendees, and it was technically a more scientifically rigorous poster. I think we even won some award for that. But it was just a different, maybe more cutthroat vibes at ACC previously. It felt like there were more people at a bigger conference to use that chance to network with the right people, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Versus here, it was much more of a collaborative, open-minded vibe. No one had qualms about how many feathers they have in their hat. People happily shared share names of potential collaborators that they know that can maybe help your project further along. We exchange phone numbers, it's totally cool, and people are genuinely interested in what everyone had to say. At that previous conference, and who knows, maybe I was just that much more awkward back then, I remember running into a former professor at her poster, and I just wanted to say a quick hello, but she was too busy for me and turned away. It was weird. I wasn't offended. It was just like, wow, like academia must be really stressful. Anyway, if you're new to this and you're a little worried about the talking portion of presenting a poster, don't worry. You're either gonna be in a friendly room like this full of open-minded people who are just happy you're there, or everyone's too busy to stop by and ask you too many crazy questions. All right, enough about that. What other fun stuff do you get to do at a conference? In my opinion, conferences are a very underrated bonus travel hack, especially if your trip is covered through work. I got some much needed R&R at the hotel. I stayed at Hotel Ivy, which was downtown, and here's a quick room tour. Very spacious, nice decor, and I got a pretty nice view from a higher floor too. Their concierge was also really attentive and helpful and checked in on me via text throughout my stay. I visited the Anda Spa, which is located inside the hotel. Really good, relaxing vibes, great service, definitely on the pricier end, but if you have any hotel credits like from Amex or from just booking directly with Marriott, that helps. The first night I got takeout from Billy Sushi, which was really good, highly recommend. And I stayed in and worked on a freelance video project quietly all by myself, which I swear is way more fun than it sounds, especially as a mom with young kids who rarely gets a quiet moment all to myself. The next night I met up with some friends and got some good food at Colita and then Petit Lion after the day had adjourned from the meeting. And I ended the trip with brunch at Julia after another morning poster session. So who should go to a conference, what kind, and how do you decide if it's worth it? Between the registration, which can be a few $100 to over $1,000, the hotels, the flights, the food, it can get really spendy. If you're a student, generally the registration is cheaper, and sometimes there are scholarships or awards that help you cover some of the registration fee. But since it's still going to be a significant chunk of money out of your pocket, I would be really clear on why you would want to go. Because you don't need the CE credits, you're still in school, you don't have a license to get continuing Ed 4. And if you're thinking about the residency showcases, interviews, and kind of the career advancement-y type stuff at the conferences, yes, they are applicable, but then again, I know programs in general are kind of moving away from just solely relying on those platforms to recruit residents or staff because it is a big expense. It's not realistic for everyone to pay to go to a conference, and therefore we would be excluding otherwise really qualified, talented candidates if we only interview at these places. All that to say, if I were a student in current day, I would probably only go if I have a poster that's been accepted and I'm going there to present. Now, as a staff person, I am basically open to going to any conference that is on a topic that I like, is in a location that I think would be fun to travel to, and I'm paid to go by the hospital. These business trip or educational trip benefits are different everywhere. Some places will only sponsor you once or twice a year, and some places have no cap on the number of times, but they will only pay if, say, you're presenting a poster or a faculty or on the planning committee or something like that. There may be restrictions to just travel within the 48 states. Whatever the limitations are, I think this is a good thing to find out about when you're applying for a new job. I think it says a lot about an organization, whether and how they are investing in their own people. The last criteria I use is, as a mom, I also need to figure out childcare to go to these places. There are now more conferences, the big ones at least, that do offer childcare on site, which is like kind of a day camp where you check your children in for the day, which sounds so amazing, and really more places need to do that. It is a real barrier for working parents, moms or dads. Whether they can go to this professional development career thing is so contingent upon whether they have a village that can help, a spouse that can step in, or if they can bring those kids with on the trip and have them be taken care of. If you are going to a conference, let me know where you're off to next so I can live vicariously through you. I'll be going back to my usual business Airbnb type of content for the next couple weeks, But I do have another conference towards the end of the year, and I'll be sure to share a little bit more about that as that happens. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you next time. Bye!